Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
We've got Owen.
Yes, guys, I hope you are doing very well. So we are here out in the bush with the head, and then we're going to try by all means to answer your questions. For us, it takes time for us to make sure we collect all the questions together so that we can see to find a nice time so that we can try to cover all the questions. So we're going to try to cover a few of your questions that we're going to go through today.
I think a lot of the questions are similar. I've started answering some of the questions where I addressed everyone that asked them, and I realized that there's quite a lot similar questions. So we'll basically just refer to a certain question which we then will address on that side. Just bearing in mind it's 2.5 weeks later that we only address that, and I know everyone, all the community and followers really wanted some answers immediately, and we couldn't give them the answers. We had to wait for the autopsy results. The autopsy results came out just the beginning of this week, and now we also have further questions that the pathologist needs to go and look for our answers, or just get back to us. But we'll address all of that. But thank you for being patient with us. It's not an easy time for us. It's also not an easy time, to even address all these questions that you've got. For us, it's close to the heart, and we've put a lot in.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, guys, there's so many of your questions, and then we know very much how much you love these animals, to all our supporters and our followers. So indeed, we're gonna try by our own means so that we can cover your questions. Yeah, indeed, because we are dealing with the animals, and then we have to make sure that any question that comes, and then we have to answer in a right way, not for us to think about maybe can be that. So we have to be so sure. It needs us a time so that we can figure out what exactly transpired, so that we can give you exactly the answer.
And I know from our side as well, we Googled quite a lot of things, that we think, okay, we'll know the answer, we'll get the answer from Mr. Google. And, then we're actually steering away. We thought, this is the kind of the symptoms, let's Google that. What does it say on Google? But, looking back at, really the facts, that we need to stay grounded and not only follow what we think and rush into a different direction, which is not the right direction. So it was good to have different team members also on the team in order to help us, and there's still a lot of work to be done, but yeah, let's start answering your questions.
Thank you.
That's Glacieri. And then Canisa. I think with a few questions or a few things that people commented on regarding the babies and the tusking, the teething. So, just to be more kind of correct, teething actually starts from 6 weeks. You can start feeling little teeth in their mouth, but then at about 3-4 months is really quite how can I say, also a rough time for babies for teething. And then we look at tusks. So the tusks, which comes out at about 10 months, starting to come out, and it's one by one. So it's the first one, and then the second one, and that period is nearly about 3 months that it takes. Now, Phabeni was our first elephant that we lost to tusking before. I know people said that, we lost, babies on that before. However, unfortunately, that wasn't tasking. Muponi passed away at the age of nearly 2 years, and that was due to EMC virus that is found in Lucerne. The reason for that is actually mouse, where a mouse will urinate on feed. We also have seen that even in big elephants where they passed away in the Kruger. So that was nothing, to do with teething and tusking. We actually, pulled him through at that stage, and using the methods of blood transfusion to get their immunity system up. Then also with Shaul, he was also totally different, where Shavu actually, where Shavu passed away actually under sedation, but I think for him, he was also, I want to say, immune, deficient, and I think with him, it was a lot more stress on him to be integrated into a herd with the bigger elephants, where he didn't know, and he hasn't seen any elephants for nearly, 20 months. So that is the reason also why we built the orphanage, to make the integrations easier, and that you can have the orphanage next door, where you can slowly and at the time of the the baby's processes and how he takes it, integrate and introduce the babies into the herd. But that is also a lesson that so that's also, kind of a lesson that we learned and actually addressed in order to become better. Now, we also consulted during this time. A lot of people also referred, that did we have, communications and consulted with the Sheldrick Trust. Please note that we also communicated about that previously, but we did consult with the Sheldrick Trust. We actually had one of our followers who also assisted in following up with the communications, and also assisted that we do receive a response from the Sheldrick Trust. So we've been in communication with them, and also they reverted back that we should keep up with the normal milk, take out any of the oils, and then also add and inject with a vitamin B12 in order to use that as a stimulant for eating. So everything that we've been told, we also implemented. So if you take out also then just the oil out of a milk feed, which I need to just explain, the oil is one of the best, or the serious, or the most how can I say, energy, creating energy. So the elephant babies get their energy from the coconut. That is the fat. So they don't get their energy from carbohydrates. In fact, you actually want to reduce the carbohydrate which you get in the milk formulas, because the carbohydrates create a fat around the organs of these elephants. So now taking out the coconut oil reduced the energy levels of Phabeni, and that is something that we clearly could see. He, his energy levels wasn't great, and therefore we actually kept him behind that he can't walk that fast distances. So that was our first, route that we went. His energy levels really, dropped a lot. We kept him in and, tried to build up his energy and his immunity by green grass and, adding like the banana grass with protein in. That actually started already in April. Okay, so that was an up and down, where we skipped bottles, and also then the reason for us to try something different. We managed the situation, as I mentioned. Then we also gave him the antibiotics with his hip that we actually did the same time with the blood transfusion, which was in May month. After that, his tusks also, the one tusk, the right hand tusk, cut. And it really took nearly 2 months. So yes, then he started drinking all his bottles. Everything was much better. We could add the oils. His energy levels was back, and we could see a huge improvement. Then his second tusk, the left hand, started to come through, and because he is already, had an immune system that, yes, we say he improved a lot, etc. But he just started gaining weight at that stage, and he gained weight and was to the level that he was before this first tusk that cut. So he wasn't actually where he should have been, if that makes sense. We still had a way, to go. He started also cutting on his milk. I tried everything. We tried again the same thing that Angela Sheldrick from the Sheldrick Trust, assisted us with her advice, reducing your oils, taking that out. But because he was then, already deprived of his, his weight gain situation, he started losing more quickly weight. We also, started with the goat milk, which we got from the Retete orphanage suggestions. That was a process, to get, nearly 20 liters of milk, of goat milk a day. That we went to fetch, took, about 4 hours driving to Louis Trichardt, where we fetched it and drove back. We made some, that was on the first milk. So it wasn't that we just sat and did nothing and, looked at this situation and say, let's do nothing. That wasn't the case. So I think for some of the followers that really invested might have, understand that, and I do think for followers that might be new and hasn't followed the whole story. But so we switched then to the goat milk, adding honey and molasse for him, to have to like the taste as well. In the meantime, we also spoke to Angela Sheldrick, who also said they did use and they started with the goat milk. So, we also bounced back ideas in, what do you think about that? He, did take the milk, which was great, and it was actually then on the second tusk that he started not taking that goat milk anymore, just actually 1 bottle, some days 2 bottles. It's always different times of the day, so there were no real pattern that we could see. We also looked at his vitals. I mean, we've got a book. I get a photo of every dung, every milk bottle that was taken. You know, looking at his energy, everyone would, you know, you can say, write down in the book if they see, you know, that he doesn't have energy. All his sleep times, you know, are monitored. Everything. We're closely monitored, because I know a baby can go from 0 to 0 really in hours. So from the fact that you know, if you look at you know, if you've got toothache, you know, I'm just referring to toothache, it is very sore. And we also put on even, you know, tea gel in the areas of where his tusks come out. From time to time, we did give him pain things, but pain things is also not great, you know, for their stomachs. And Dr. Rogers were also, you know, saying and mentioning, you know, that we have to also look at that, you know, what will the effect be on his stomach. So we also gave him Umeprocote, you know, in a prevention, and also for stress, to prevent him from getting ulcers. So there's a lot of things that we might not mention every time, but it is, you know, part of our daily routines. And we apologize to everyone that things that we might assume is logically for us, and that we do it, but that you are not aware of all, you know, that is happening around it, which also makes it much more difficult for you to make a decision on, you know, is this, or to actually know, is this done? You know, it's kind of logically, you know, if you go into an ICU unit, you'll see there's a huge paper, and everything is monitored on there. And you know, we were running in those times really a ICU, as my colleague and advisor running a neonate department, you know, said to me, you know, Adine, you are running now actually ICU for elephants. You know, that we were here 24/7, dealing with these problems and trying to find alternatives, speaking to a lot of people. So this is also, you know, if you look at Kanhisa, there were times where I thought I'm losing her, and we pulled her through. The one was under you know, sedation. Now we say sedation, but what it is actually, it is not a full sedation. You know, full sedation where you actually knock one out that he doesn't know where he is. So we actually only use similar to what people might know, like a dormicum, and just to kind of that you don't really remember, you know, what's happening. So to put in your drips into the ear, so it's not a full sedation. A full sedation we would never do on a baby that's got this low immunity, that's losing weight. There's no ways that we'd be able to do that. You know, a few of the comments were that why, you know, you never give sedation to somebody with, you know, that's not strong. And I totally agree. That's why we didn't do that. And actually, the one time that we nearly lost Kanhisa, and that was when we operated on her or not operated, actually closed and stitched up all her wounds, where she stopped breathing. but because I saw that previously with Shovu, I realized that, and that's always why we've got the little thing in the ear that we can administrate, something, and kind of wake her, because I think what they do more is go into very deep, sleep as well. So Dr. Rogers and Janelle were able to to wake Kanisa up. And then yes, the other time was also during this period of tasking, where I really thought I've lost her the one night, and she survived. So people referred as well to kind of the night that we his last hours, and we should have done these around his last hours. I don't expect it his last hours. Once again, 4:30 the morning when I went, and or just before 5 o'clock, went to make coffee. While I was making coffee, looking at the sunrise, I thought, gee whiz, we made this night, and I was wondering how the next night might be. So even during some painful situations, not painful, where Phabeni, screamed, it's also like nightmares. It's not the first time that, a baby does that. Even during their normal sleep, so a lot of times where they have nightmares and, scream, it's not screams that will say, I'm dying, help me. It's not, the screams were, but always, even in their dreams, you like, what's happening. I don't know elephant language. I don't know what those screams mean. So for me, it's always disturbing to hear that. So as we look here at Kanisa, we can end this on a bit of a height and not as low. We're grateful to be able to pull her through. We learned a lot through her, but also through Phabeni. And I think sometimes, you learn from the ones that you lose, but you also learned from the ones that survived. And I do have to say, it's sometimes more luck than anything else to pull them through. And if you look at the success rates, even on the little ones like a Phabeni, your success rate is not great. You can look at, and you can ask anyone. You can contact the Sheldricks, you can contact Retiti. Survival rate on your little ones are not great. Looking up from the age of 18 months onwards, if a baby arrives at that age, success rate is much, much better, but it also is a bit, it is logically. But for Kanisa, Phabeni, that arrived more or less at the same age, I think Kanisa being a little bit younger, we're grateful for her and for the joy she gave everyone, and the joy that she still will give to all of us. I think it's really loving her to bits. And I don't think anyone could say that she doesn't love us, and she won't love us if she doesn't know what we've done to pull her through at these times. I hope that gives answers to people. You'll see Klaseri and Sitombe at the back. I'm grateful for Sitombe to come back into the group and been with Klaseri again, where for some time she was really just on her own, I think mourning, and we all have different ways of handling things and to work through things. Once again, there's no right, there's no wrong. And that, Kanisa, is a lovely root. Look at that. And these tusks, we're grateful for them. Good evening, everyone. Over the last 2 weeks, we had loads of questions coming in regarding Phabeni. I'd like to answer as as much as possible that I can. Some I might not have answers for, and the reason why I have not communicated for the last 2 weeks with answers, and I know it's frustrating, and I really apologize for that. But we had a rough month. And I think I was just not ready. No, I thought I'm ready now. Okay. So, yes, we lost Kenneth. And then we lost Phabeni. And you know what? Death is not always as easy as what you think to deal with. It's not that we can predict it. It's not that we've not done anything to prevent it. I didn't plan for Phabeni to pass away. But let's move on to the questions. Because I've tried to deal with all of this in the last month. And it's been hard. And I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. So one of the questions was, okay. One of the reasons why we decided not to offer Phabeni's body to the herd to smell him and to say their goodbyes was during the night. It was mostly so Liverson was there in the beginning of the night, and then it was Stavros and myself that spent most of the night with Phabeni. And I wasn't sure if they smell us, how they will react in the future to us, and if they think it might be because of us that he passed away. So originally that was my thought of letting them say their goodbyes, and that was my first initial message and conversations with the guys. And Joshua was not on duty, but he did come earlier and he was around. And it was also around that night. So I asked them to call him because I needed him. I needed his insight. And then he came to me also afterwards and said to me, he doesn't think I should do that. My second reason was that we had to do an autopsy. I don't know what they would do with his body. And I didn't want anything to prevent us from really knowing what happened. What was the real source? Even if I knew he was weak, he didn't take his bottles, what was the real cause? What was the reason that he didn't take his bottles? There was a lot that we did. So that was just the reason. And it was kind of my way of thinking. It might be wrong. A lot of people might not agree with me. People might agree with me. But in the long run, I also had to think about the bigger picture. And it's not that I will go somewhere except might leave the earth. Hi, Pizza. Hi, Pizza, go. Hi, my go. Hi, Pizza. Good go. Hi, my go. So that's Pizza. Now, for me, looking back at it over the last 2 weeks, I also had a lot of questions and things where I queried myself, queried the way we think. Teething. Teething is definitely something that took a lot of lives of little orphans. I don't know if there's something in the milk of the mothers that prevent this. One of my notes that I included to myself, and so what I've done is I've taken everything over the last month that happened, and I've put that onto a spreadsheet. Every little thing, the amount of urine, the amount of tongue, the hours he slept, everything, and I put that onto a spreadsheet, as well as all the veterinarian visits, as well as all the changes to milk formula, to everything. Just put that down. And then after a discussion with all the advisors, which I did not have yet, but put everyone around the table and that we go through that step by step, that everyone's got the background and where we're aiming for, so we all work together. And the aim is to pull as many orphans through as what we can. So that's the aim. Not to let anyone be hurt through that process. Because then we would have left them in the bush, in the field, wherever they are. Because it will be easier on themselves. And then okay, so, and one of those things, and one of the notes is, maybe through teething, I put on tea gel. How long can you give them painkillers? How long is that possible? If I've got a toothache, it's really sore, it's freaking sore. It goes into your brain, it's... I once had a root canal being done on me, and the pain I went through ahead of that was intense. It was really not easy. And my children were young, and I thought, I'm going mad. But how do you avoid that? Is that maybe that if an orphan comes in and we know he's tusking, teething, is it a method to give him painkillers? So I'm just asking all these rhetorical questions. You're more than welcome to comment on that. I don't have the answers. It's all stuff to actually consider, to think about. His immune system is definitely weaker than a normal elephant calf. We had the milk that Kanisa was taking, and then we switched to the goat milk, and he drank it. We actually put in some honey for taste, and that might have also helped, maybe if I add the honey to the others. But the honey is high in carbohydrates, which is not the correct energy source. But yes, we followed the rules, we followed what other people were doing, but also taking into account that some of the elephants are older, than Phabeni was. There's not one recipe that works the same for just one elephant. That we also need to take into account of. Then, And then also, Bruce Anderson, you asked about Phabeni, and if he might have thought that his real family would show up. I don't know. As you say, you know, we're all guessing around. But I know his new family really adored him, and they would have done everything for him. But I know he loved them too. And if he loved them, you know, he loved them as well, you know, while he was here. And I know from Stavros and Tiger that were both orphaned, they appreciated the way that he was taken in by another family. I'm not in that position to say I'm an orphan to know how it will feel. But I went on to, you know, what they say. But yes, I'm jumping from topic to topic just because of the questions that arrived. We did bury Phabeni into the bush. We buried him with Mupani in the elephant graveyard. And we are going to plant something for him. I actually found the most beautiful bushveld orchid next to the road that was sold by people that took it out. They cut down the tree, and now they were selling this beautiful orchid. And if somebody buys it and the orchid goes into the wrong hands or to the wrong place, into the wrong countryside, it will die. Now, I grew up as a child and my grandfather had these huge orchids, but really huge. I've never seen such huge ones in my entire life. And he had one, he actually brought one to my mother, and the one in my mother's garden died because it wasn't the right temperature, it wasn't the right time, it was not the right place. So when I drove past, this is a small orchid. It's part of a tree still, a Mupani tree. We don't get really Mupani trees in our area. We get the marula trees, but Mupani is part of the Rossblaar family, Combretum species. And you get it up a little bit more to the Palaborwa area. So I bought it because I thought I'll give it another chance. And maybe this bush orchid, or bushveld orchid, will grow here in memory of Phabeni. It might not be a tree, but it will be something special with lovely flowers, this yellow, yeah. And I'll show you a picture, we'll add that also, of this little tree stump with this piece of orchid that's in there. I'm sorry, I don't want to cry. I really tried to be strong. And that's now people has lots of questions, but I really tried my best and I put everything in. You know, I've taken so much out of myself and my personal time with my own family. And not that I regret it. I even should have done more. But I'm not regretting that I have not gone for a cycle ride because I spent my time with Phabeni to look into his well-being. If I went on to that cycling ride for myself, I would have questioned myself. But maybe I would have cried less now if I did go for the cycling. What? So this is the plant the bushveld orchid that I bought next to the road for Phabeni. Okay, so this is Phabeni's plant, and hopefully it will make now nice flowers. That thing is very heavy. If it wasn't for Kensani helping me here at the end, cheers, I'm still out of breath. And I want to say basically, I would say rescue, that it grows into a natural habitat and it doesn't go to the wrong place and dies. So, may it grow fiercely here. I think there's still, that's maybe the best place. It'll get some sunlight that we can see. It was there, but I think yeah. Okay, Owen, one of the questions as well was, how's Satombe taking it? How's she doing? And then the second question that we'd like to address is, why didn't we give the body of Phabeni to Satombe to smell him after he passed away? And yeah, so I think let's just, how is Satombe doing at the moment?
Yeah, hi everyone. I hope everyone is doing very well. Yes, indeed, it is a hard time for Jablan Head, especially more on Satombe. For the past 2 weeks, Satombe it's been a very hard time. She's been very stressed from the loss of Phabeni. This is the female that was giving up a lot from Phabeni. This is the female that was always make sure that Phabeni is with her. So she's been in a very hard time, but there's some few developments that we saw from her, trying to accept what happened. She was less of secreting, and then also she was less to be alone. And also we've been so much behind here, so that we can try by all means not here to be alone, so that she can reduce the stress, so she can accompany Sebakwe and the other young ones, Klaseri, which is one of their hair baby. So yeah, she's been in a very hard time. Now we are so happy to see her. She's now back to following her baby, Klaseri, and then together with Sebakwe, we saw some few days have some nice play at the water wall. That she's coming back, which we are so happy about her, because we don't like her to be so stressed for a long time. Indeed, she's been so in love with the baby. Yeah, we do have some few questions about why we didn't bring the body of the baby on here. To be honestly, we cannot do that, or to bring the baby, the body to Satombe, because we look in future, and also we look on how much stress are we going to cause on the elephant, because we never know in future. Satombe, how many times she's going to be in that situation, bringing the baby to her. So it is a lot of trauma that we're going to create on the elephant. So there's a lot that we have to consider. And then the much we know that elephant, they got a very good sense of smell. Their smell, it tells everything that is happening around. Excuse me. So she cannot be behind of what happening. She can know exactly. We are so happy to see the Maitrak Tokwe from the second day, that she leads all of them into the stables, where from the first day Phabeni was introduced, from the first day where Satombe he took over the baby. And then this is where the position where Tokwe was leading everything, because Tokwe, from the first day that we lost the baby, she smelled, and then she's secreting, she sent the message, and the second day in the morning she lead all of them. So we didn't broke any elephant. All of them, they came there in the stables, special all the females, all the young ones also, they were in there. That was the morning of the death of Phabeni. That was the message among themselves, which was very important. Yes, of course. So many people, they can say why Satombe or didn't go there to Phabeni's table to smell her, the baby, so that she can be satisfied about that. That much we cannot do such. We cannot do so because we don't want to create a big problem to our elephant, because these females, they are so special, and then these females also they got a big responsibility in future that they're going to do. They are going to continue looking after the babies that they are coming to join in the herd. They're going to continue also to have this kind of a relationship among each other. So to bringing Satombe in, or to bring the body of Phabeni to Satombe, we find ourselves that was not a good idea. So we rather elephant to smell, and then their smell, we know that it means a lot among themselves. They're going to figure out what's happening. So indeed, that was the reason for us we not to bring the body of Phabeni.
And I think secondly, as we discussed as well, Owen, is, what will they think, with the smells of the people that's been with Phabeni over the last, hours, and how they will react to those people that will be still, around.
Yeah, indeed. As carers, we work with this elephant every day. We are out with this elephant every day. So we don't want where the elephant, they're always finding the smell of Phabeni to each of us, because it always gives a very fresh memory to that elephant. So we be in a little bit of a distance from that, so that our elephant, they can accept it so quickly. So that's the reason that we didn't like to be more involved, because remember, a fresh smell on the elephant, it clicks so quickly for that elephant to remember. So you're gonna find out there's a lot of reaction, smelling, rumbling, trumpeting, and so forth, that because of from that. And then find out that person also will be no longer more involved as a handler to take care of that elephant, because they'll be thinking that you might be the person that you took over the life of the baby. So we always avoid that. So the more we got that smell, and then all elephant, they think that you are the one who took out the baby away, you are the one who killed the baby. So that's the reason why we don't like to involve people who got a smell of Phabeni into the head. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know people think it's, someone said we're selfish around that, but you might call it selfish if that is the word you'd like to say, but I think in how we see it is also strategically how to handle this, because our carers, as as what Owen said, is in the bush with the elephants, and we must always remember it still stays a wild animal. Although we've been with them for all these years, a wild animal stays a wild animal. It's still part of the big five. It's an instinct that they've got, and we also need to protect our carers and make it as safe as what we can, and kind of reduce the risks around around their work. So that is basically the decision, and I hope you can understand from our side why we decided on that. And we would like to do an autopsy. It is going to make to have an effect on our findings. So that is also not something that we would like to do. And you know what? I do think there's not a right or a wrong answer in this whole thing. We just try our best on the ground at that situation. And like Dr. Rogers always says to me, Adine, hindsight is best sight. And if someone was also in your shoes at that stage, they might have taken different decisions. And well done, everyone has to do what he has. But if you're not in that person's shoes, it's very difficult to actually decide if there was a wrong or a right until you're in those shoes and have the same experience. Then it's actually on par to have a critical view of things.